we just kind of stood there for a second, and they was there. Well, two of them got a hold of Charlie. One of them got a hold of me. I immediately felt some kind of injection into my arm when this thing got me, and it paralyzed me, or maybe where I didn't care. I call it my go to hell shot, where you just don't really care. And later on at the doctor's office, they figured out that it really was an injection, two of them.
Oh my goodness.
So this thing kind of had me weary a little bit. Now I couldn't move my body, but I could roll my head a little bit and I could move my eyes, and I still had a sense of sight and smell. This one thing that had a hold of me floated up toward a door, and we got in the door, and I remember looking in this crowd for lights, for a big spotlight, but it seemed like the lights was coming out of the walls. And he just kind of paused there a second, and then he went in, and it did. It looked just like the lights was just into the paint on the walls. We took a left and went down the hall for a little bit, and this thing turned right. And I noticed there was a glass looking table in the middle of this room, and it was kind of sitting on a little bit of angle. Now, still not able to move, but I could still see. I could still roll my head, my eyes. He took and laid me on this table on my back, and it was set at about a 45-degree angle, I guess. And I was looking up at the ceiling, and something about the size of a deck of cards came out of the ceiling, and it started revolving around my head, and it would go click, 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 click. Then it shot back up into the ceiling. Well, this is when this old big ugly thing just backed up in a corner. And I think he was mechanical because he just shut down. I mean, he backed up over there and just shut down like you turned the electricity off. And I was still in on my back, and I sensed the presence at this time in the room, but I still couldn't see nothing. So I rolled my head over, and I seen what looked typically like a little redneck female woman here. Now, she was probably disguised or something, but she had eyes, nose, ears, mouth. She had everything normal looking uh, that she could have. Now, somebody said, well, how do you know it was a woman? Well, I never did really know it was a woman, but I sensed it was because I've lived down here on New Orleans and the coast long enough to know you can't go by sight anyhow if you think it's a woman. Usually, the prettiest women are men dressed up like women. So,
That's true. That's true.
and you can sense it. So, but I just sensed that this was a woman. Well, she come up, and the only difference I could see in her, on her hand, her two middle fingers was a little bit longer than normal. And she touched my chin and kind of rubbed it. I didn't feel any warmth whatsoever from her skin or from her hands. And she got her left hand and she put on my chin and pushed my mouth open, and took that right hand and ran them two fingers down my throat. And she was trying to get in behind that little thing that hangs down.
Ah.
I don't know what to call it. I just call it my hang me down. And she was trying to reach in behind that. And I was
Oh my
choking, then
goodness.
started throwing up blood. I couldn't breathe. Well, she pulled her hand out. Now, telepathically, her mouth never moved. She never opened her mouth to say this. But she said, we're not going to harm you. And I was thinking, it's too late for not going to harm because I was already had my throat scratched up, bleeding, blood coming out of my nose, my mouth, and it was just a painful experience. But she backed up and I guess telepathically told me that. And then all of a
Wow.
sudden she made a moan out of her throat, kind of like an alligator. they're mating in the spring, it just goes all over. And this thing that was standing in the corner, no big ugly one, like I kind of described him, he jumped up like a jack in a box. He come over, he grabbed me by the arm again. I felt another injection. Well, she backed up out of the way. That was the last I seen of her this time. And he carried me back out the door, put me down at the river. My arms outstretched in the river, and about the same spot that I was in. And he left. Well, about that time, I heard Charlie, Calvin, you okay? Of course, I was. I turned around and I started looking. And the lights went out. This thing picked up off the ground a little bit, and it just shot up and disappeared into the sky. Well, it's a little late to panic in, so we sat on the back down on the pier for just a minute, and I was still trying to get over the shock of my throat and all being scratched up. And Charlie said, "Well, we need to tell somebody." I said, "We don't need to tell nobody. I'm not telling nobody about this because they think me crazy. I won't be able to go to work nowhere or anything else." I said, "So no, I didn't see nothing, Charlie." He said, "Well, let's go." We walked back up, when I went to get into the car, I had a brand new 1973 Rambler Hornet. All the windows on the passenger side were shattered in place. And when I
Oh my
reached to the
gosh.
car, it didn't have no power locks on them cars. You had to reach over and pull that little thing up. So when I reached over and unlocked it, that window on that side, when he opened the door, just fell out. Like I never did get my car cranked. My keys was sticking to the car. It was magnetic. So finally got it to crank, busted off, and we left. And we was headed what I thought was to his house. And he seen a store there. Now, everybody's got to remember this was 1973. There weren't no cell phones, wasn't no social media. And he
Right.
said, pull over. I need to use this phone. So, that was understandable, him wanting to call his wife. I didn't know who was going to call her. I wouldn't have let him. So we pulled over. None of us have any change to put in the phone. And I used to remember when I'd clean the car out, I'd look under the seats or in between the seat cushions, and people would lose change out of their pockets. So we did. We found enough for him to use the phone. He called Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. They said, "We don't take calls like this. We don't have a Project Blue Book or nothing going on anymore. Call your local authorities." So he came back to the car, dug under the seat. He called the Jackson County Sheriff Department. And of course, they thought we was drinking and all, or owned something. They said, "Fellas, y'all just sit right there, don't move. We'll be there in just a minute." And they was good as their word. They showed up. Of course, I was driving, so I'm the one that got all the flack. They walked up to my door and they looked in, just kind of peeked around in the car, what they could see. Asked me if I'd step out and hand them my driver's license. I did. They said, "Now, stand on one leg, stand on your right leg, lean your head back, close your eyes, touch your nose, jump up and down. While jumping up and down, touch your nose and count from 100 backwards." So, man, I can't do that if I was sober, which I hadn't been drinking. I just didn't feel like being intimidated because we're the one that called them. I said, "Well, you seem fine. Follow us to the SO, the sheriff department, and we want to talk about this a little more about what happened to y'all." I said, "Nothing happened to me." I said, "I guess that guy's crazy over there. I don't know what he told you, but nothing happened to me." So we followed them to the police department. And they took me into one room, took him into another room, and they was doing an interrogation on me. Now, the whole time that they was doing this, of course, I was denying anything happened because I didn't want nobody to know. I didn't want to talk about it. Charlie back there spilling his guts. So then all of a sudden, they put us in a room together, but they had a hidden tape recorder into this room. And that's what they call the hidden recorder. Well, where I messed up and let my story out of what happened was when me and him was in there talking on what they call the secret tape, the hidden tape. And gosh, from that minute on, it went public. I mean, all over.
Stay tuned for more Scariest Paranormal Radio.
Submitted for your approval. New Orleans. Seductive, magical, mysterious, and haunted. There is no place on this earth with as much ghost and vampire activity as New Orleans. Imagine, if you will, a tour. A tour that takes you to sites in the French Quarter of actual documented hauntings. The Haunted History Tour is just that tour. Every day, every night, all year round. This tour has been featured on ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN. And it's available to you. Are there ghosts and vampires in the French Quarter? Find out by taking the tour that everyone is talking about. The Haunted History Tour. For more information, call Haunted History Tours at 861-2727. That's 861-2727. This is not a Halloween spook house. This is real.
You're listening to Scariest Paranormal Radio.
So the big sheriff showed up. He said, "Y'all just go home. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow." Well, we did. We got in the car, made our way home, went in, laid down. And well, when I got there, I remember going into the bathroom, taking all my clothes off, my shoes, everything off, putting in a paper bag. They didn't have them plastic bags in. But I rolled everything up in a paper bag. I got in the shower, and there was a half a gallon of bleach on the shower. And I poured that over my head, thinking it'd kill any kind of bacteria or anything that we might have. Because I
Oh
didn't
my
know what we
goodness.
might be carrying home to our family. And I
Right.
washed it off. Got out of the shower, went through the little bag, put on some clean clothes, went throw the little bag in the dumpster. So the next morning, of course, I had a lot of trouble sleeping that night. I didn't sleep. Got up and went in there, and Charlie was already awake talking to his wife. I didn't know if he told her anything or not. Let's go to work. He said, "Okay." So we got in the car, my little car again. We drove to work. Now this is in October, and a little bit chilly with that window knocked out. But we got to work, and I noticed there was a lot of cars parked around there. Now, this is just my second day at work, so I didn't know how many cars were supposed to be there. We brassed in. They give you a piece of brass with a number on it, and you hand it to them when you go in, and you pick it up when you come out. So we got brassed in. Calling mine and Charlie's name to come to the office over the intercom. They said, "Look, I was thinking then, something going on." We got into the office and they said, "Look, we can't conduct any kind of business. The phone's ringing off the hook. Everybody's wanting to know what happened to y'all." So, man, nothing happened to us. They said, "Well, y'all was at the sheriff department and told him y'all had been abducted or something like that." So that was Charlie. That wasn't me. He said, y'all got to give a press release so we can conduct our business here. We have the shipyard attorney coming here. Y'all give him a press release and he'll talk to him and he'll get him out of our office and all." So I still wouldn't talk to him about it. Charlie talked to the guy. He turned over a press release. By that time, the sheriff of Jackson County, which was Fred Diamond, showed up. He said, "Look, we're concerned about y'all being contaminated and maybe something wrong. So I need to take y'all to the Jackson River Hospital in Pascagoula." I said, "Well," I agreed with him there, because I had watched that Apollo mission where they landed. The astronauts landed and they quarantined them for 7 or 14 days. One wouldn't even let their families talk to them. So I felt like this was a reasonable request.